Well. It is good afternoon, everyone. This is Curtis Lewis, founder and CEO of Black Male Educators Alliance. I know y'all might be thinking like today is not Saturday. I know it's today is Wednesday afternoon. I'll explain all that in a minute. But I'm super hyped to be here. We got a lot of stuff to talk about today. Welcome to the Way Forward. I'll bring my guy on soon to talk about the day of hot topics. So before we get into that, the reason why we are here on Wednesday at 4 something, I know some of y'all may be just leaving y'all schools, leaving the classroom, probably had a long day. Parents probably just picking up their kids, all that good stuff. But I am heading tomorrow to Norway. Norway is European country up north above England, near Finland, and countries like that. So I'll be there. I'm leaving tomorrow. Saturday, I won't be here in America to record this show, so we're gonna do it today, and we'll see. We might be doing some, Wednesday off and on, Wednesday, Saturday sessions, but you hear me here today. Today is Bosses Day, by the way. Happy Bosses Day to all the bosses out there. I don't like to use the word boss as much, even though I do call people boss. I've called 2 people boss in my life. I've called Tiffany Taylor a boss. And I've called Danielle Jackson a boss. I've called them bosses before. So happy Bosses Day to them. Happy Bosses Day to everyone who is a boss. And only Bosses Day only for people who are good bosses. If you're not a good boss and you ain't really handling your business and you act like a real boss, then you don't get a happy boss day. I just said it. You don't get a happy boss day. But happy Bosses Day. Today is also my childhood best friend's birthday, who passed away back in 2004. So happy birthday to Jeff. My son, my son is named after him as well. So happy birthday to him as well. But I'm hype about today. We have some hot topics, some things to talk about today that I think is important for us to engage in. I think we got a couple of guests from the community that's going to be coming on, engaging with us as well. We'll be doing that often as well. So when you get an email from Chris or from Chris saying, hey, you want an opportunity to join in, to engage in the conversation. We want to hear from our parents. We want to hear from our students. We want to hear from our teachers. Here's an opportunity to hear your voice. We may not agree, and I'm cool with that. Just don't go on here being disrespectful, and then we good. Like, if you ain't disrespectful, we good. So I'm super hyped about the conversation today. So one, I'll just briefly talk about the Norway trip. Is this policy trip that I go on. This is my second year. Last year I went to New York. New York. I go to New York every month. I went to New Zealand, 18-hour plane ride. That was long. Tomorrow's a little shorter plane ride, but I'm going to Norway to really investigate schools and the way they engage with teaching and learning and policy at the K-12, higher ed level, and also at the university level. So I look forward to these trips. I'll probably be doing this for the next couple of years. Really learn a lot and do a comparative analysis to like what they're doing there and what we're doing here in the United States. So I look forward to sharing updates over the next 7 to 8 days around what I'm learning and engaging with in Norway and what's happening, and comparing that to what's happening here in the United States. So I'm super excited about that trip. We'll talk about that trip. You'll get updates. Follow us on social media. We'll be talking about that trip a lot over the next 7 to 8 days. Now, something that came to mind, like when I saw, sometimes I'm just up because I don't sleep often and just paying attention to social media. And one of the things I noticed was this picture that talked about the number of years that we've been in slavery compared to the number of years that we haven't. So I don't want to throw that that picture up real quick. So here, I want y'all to pay attention to this. So not until 2111. So that's 2111. Like, I want y'all, so photos. We're in 2024. So y'all can do the math. So we're in 2024. Not until 2111. All right, y'all can do the math. Will we have had more years of freedom than slavery in this country? That just stuck out to me. Shout out to Wanda Olabala. I saw her post that and a few other people post that. I was like, man, this is interesting. I think it's important for us to just think about that for a second. So when people are talking about, why are we still talking about the impact of slavery, or why are we still talking about racism? We have been enslaved, but black folks, Africans who came over here have been enslaved more than they have been free in this country. Just think about that for a second. I hadn't really thought about that. So it was like, whoa, that's crazy, right? So think about that for a second. And think about, as we talk about reparations and all those different things, like why the various systems are still negatively impacting certain groups of people, because it ain't been that long, right? Not until 2111 is that we've been in here longer in slavery than we have been free. Just think about that for a second. So when people want to have a debate or argument about that, I want us to bring that up. I don't want to have Chris put that back up there for a second. Like, bring that back up. So when people ever want to question or think about that, I want y'all to screenshot that and it's like, stop talking to me. Because I'm gonna start doing, I'm like, that's gonna be like a picture. I'm gonna put it like, stop talking to me. I wish I could get a hat. And I might get in a shirt. We're like, just stop talking to me when we talk about this stuff. So just wanted to share that. I think that's important for us to think about that. Also, some more exciting news. We just had our principal. We got various legs of the work that we do. So we do the policy work, the policy that impacts the way school leaders and teachers need to move and engage in teaching and learning and with our students in our schools. We also have our fellowships that we do that is focused on leaders and teachers, and we'll talk about that at some point as well. We have our principal wellness and policy fellowship that I am super excited about. I've talked about those. They're doing great things. We'll showcase some. One of my guy who's coming on today is one of our fellows in the principal wellness and policy fellowship. So that's the work we do. So those are two legs. And then the other piece is we do our we do our school partnerships. So we work in schools. And I want to stress this piece too when we talk about working in schools. Like, I am very adamant, and I'm thinking on that show we'll talk about, like, what are some things we need to think about when we're thinking about rethinking schools? That is super important for us to think about. What are we doing, right? I'm very adamant and very unapologetic about how we're doing schools, and that our schools are antiquated and what we're doing here ain't working. And we need to rethink that and be very creative and innovative around our approach to teaching and learning and how we engage the kids in schools. That's going to come. And it might come up today in the conversation as well, because that embodies the work of BMEA. The other piece too is our youth leadership development program, which is the one leg of our program that focuses on Black males, trying to increase the number of Black males in teaching, which I've talked about before, 1.7, now it's 1.3. All right. We're going backwards, right? And Black women are not too far behind. All right. So I think overall between Black women and men and women, we're at like 6-7%. We got to do better. Right. And students of color, Black students represent 16-17% of the population in our public schools. So we just got to do better. So shout out for all those organizations that's doing that work, but that's part of the work. So in our youth leadership development program, we've expanded. We started off with 5-6 schools last year. We're going to be up to 15 this year. And we had a dinner at season 52 this past Monday for all those school leaders that are part of that leg of the work. And so shout out to them for that. And so it was a great dinner. We ate good. Got the pictures up there now. Look at these beautiful people. I'm up there talking, running my mouth, but beautiful folks who are engaged and willing to do the work and support the work that's necessary to increase and diversify our profession, which is important. Black teachers matter to all kids. So let's just stress that. All right, so that was great. We'll have more dinners like that for those folks, but just wanted to shout them out for their attendance and their support on Monday. Now, I think it's time because we now better get some hot topics. So today we're going to talk about a few things. One, Kamala Harris. I'm sorry, Kamala. What is wrong with me? Kamala. Sorry, Kamala. I sound like somebody else. Kamala Harris. I was just talking to somebody today. So phonetically, when you say her name, I'm old school. I learned finally. So I'll be like, okay. So I have to actually process somebody. So it's Kamala Harris. I'm going to be very clear about that. Was in town. And she also laid out a plan for Black men, which, the argument that I'm hearing across on social media and in the traditional media platforms are the fact that Black men are sort of waning, their support is waning for her versus for other folks who've been running for president. And so she's laid out a plan. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about also DPSCD has laid out a plan for increasing the literacy rates in Detroit, which we've talked about that. It's at a level that is unacceptable. So we're going to talk about, paying students to come after school. What does that really mean? So we're going to have that conversation as well. And I think I want to have that conversation with Dr. McGhee. But before we do that, I do want to shout out on November 9th, because this issue is so important. When we talk about our literacy and math proficiency rates in the city of Detroit, it is unacceptable. I don't care what politician, I don't care what marches we do. If we don't begin to invest and ensuring that our kids are getting the tools and strategies that they need to be literate, and also math competent, math literate, right? It's absolutely a civil rights issue. And we can march and talk about all of the other things, violence, all of that is tied to the fact that we have low literacy rates, tied to all the things that we're going to talk about as relates to that. And so on November 9th, we're an organization that we do less about the talking. And we're going to have a literacy and math proficiency workshop November 9th at the school at Mary Grove from 10 to 1:30 p.m. We got some heavy hitters coming through. And I'm not just saying heavy hitters who just do the talking, but people who are actually doing the work. And the goal is that you're going to leave with strategies as a parent, a student, a teacher, a leader, a community member on how we can work collectively to engage our community in increasing our literacy rates as well as our math competency. We got to do better. It is unacceptable, and I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it, and I'm absolutely very clear and unapologetic about how unacceptable it is that we continue to sit back and think this is okay. It's not. We got to hold everybody accountable, right? From the lawmakers, what laws and policies are getting in place of making sure we having the right curriculum, the right strategies in front of kids, right? How we are educating and engaging our teachers in this work, how we're informing our parents and things they can do at home. And this starts before they enter school. When our kids enter kindergarten or preschool and they're not ready, we're already behind. So we got to figure this out. And part of this is one just piece of a larger puzzle that we're going to be working on with other organizations that we're partnering with to do this work starting here in Detroit. It's very important to me. I'm very passionate about it. And anybody, any organization that you're interested in, show up on November 9th and let's talk. Before that, Let's email, let's talk to figure out what role you can play in doing this. Because I'm not just for the talk. We do a lot of talking. And so how do we support our families and make sure we're getting our kids where because we're going to continue to lag behind not only teachers, scientists, engineers, all the professions that we keep talking about. We are low in representation. Well, it starts in pre-K. So we can talk about all the other stuff, technology, but if we don't get our kids and babies able to read, then we're going to continue to be at this behind the 8 ball. And I want to change that along with a lot of other folks that I know are behind this, that I'm looking forward to working with as we move this work forward. All right, so let me calm down. All right, I just got hyped for a second. All right, so I'm going to bring my, I'm going to call him my co-host for today, Dr. Jason McGhee. He's from the west side of the state. Y'all know him.
What up? Good afternoon, man.
Yeah. I don't know if he was ready. Was you ready for me?
I mean, I try to stay ready.
Stay ready. Stay ready so you ain't got to get ready. All right. So, I try to like calm myself down, man, because I get hyped. But we got some stuff to talk about today, right? And so I want, and we may not agree. We may not agree, and that's okay. I'm going to still love you after this. You still going to be my guy. You're going to still be a fellow. You're going to still go to all the trips, all the stuff, and I'm going to even still have you back. But I want us to have real honest dialogue around this stuff that we're going to be talking about today. So I think you're the perfect person for it. So I'm glad to have you on today.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Glad to be back. Let's do it.
Say it one more time. I didn't hear you. Say it one more time. I think you went. What you say?
I said, I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be back.
I don't know if you was like, man, I don't want to be back. I thought that's what I heard.
Oh, no.
So let's jump into it, and we're gonna bring my guy. It's another guy here who's gonna jump in. Who I think he's been out here advocating for this work for a long time, and we're gonna bring him on in a minute. Mr. Hall, he's gonna come on in a second. But before we do that, we're gonna start with this first topic. And man, this has been a hot topic. Woo, man, it's been hot. Around is the DPSCD launching a new initiative that compensates students for participating in after-school literacy tutoring. The response in the city has been mixed, bro. It's been mixed, to say the least. Like, and I've been trying to be quiet. People like, oh, what you got? And I just be like, oh. So I'm really big on taking the time to like make sense and process before I start opening my mouth around stuff. So I'm gonna shut up. And I'm going to get your thoughts for a second, and then we're going to bring Mr. Hall in, too, because I think he may have a lot to say about this as well. So, Jason, what do you think about this? Dr. McGhee? I'm sorry.
All good. No, man, so first heard about it last week. We were driving with the fellows, and it was coming up like, hey, $2,000 for a literacy after-school project. And, hey, people are going crazy. It's for high school students, correct?
Yeah, right? I think so. Yeah.
And I had to sit on it for a minute too. Like, are they gonna pay them $2,000 to learn how to read after school? So at first I was like, man, I'm bugging. Like, wow, this is what we're doing now. We had to pay them to learn how to read, to learn to speak, to write. And then it hit me like, why not? We tried everything. We're trying all these different things, going down all these different avenues. And what's sticking, right? What's sticking? We're trying to pay the people to teach them. Is that working? What if we paid them? I don't have a problem with it as we're trying it, right? Because you look at it from this perspective where there's always some type of external motivation that exists. Now, school is inherently always this intrinsic motivating factor. You're going to go to school, you're going to learn, you're going to get these grades, and the grades have been the incentive for a long time. But now it's like, hey, what if we threw some money as an externally motivating factor to see if they'll bite and hold on to it? What's the carrot? So now the carrot is some cash. But it's not that simple. I don't think it's just that simple. They're doing it in the Detroit public school system, are they doing it in suburbs? Is that an issue in the suburbs? Or maybe the reading literacy rates aren't an issue in the suburbs or in rural areas. So I still have questions, but as an innovator, I'm thinking, hey, let's see what happens. So I'm living there. I'm living there with it right now. Let's see what happens. What are you thinking, Doc?
No, bro. I appreciate your thinking around it. I'm gonna reserve my thinking until I'm gonna bring Mr. Hall on. Because I want to hear his thoughts on it. What's up, brother?
How y'all brothers doing?
Hey, I'm good, man. Look. I'm reserving my thing. First of all, Mr. Hall has been a huge supporter of the work. He's been at our events. He's been doing this work. So before we get started and talk about this topic, because I think this is personal to you as well, I want you to just tell us a little bit about who you are. Just get a little snippet of who you are, and then we're going to get into the topic.
Yeah, I am Jamarian Hall, so I am the lead plaintiff, and I guess the reason why this money getting spent and accommodated to these young people. So the reason why we're looking at young people as proficient or as within the community of education. So I am the lead plaintiff in the Right to Read lawsuit, which we also settled for $94 million, but was really trying to establish a constitutional right to a quality education, understanding that literacy was the basis of that. So as Dr. Lewis said earlier, understanding that the city of Detroit sets the precedent in so many different facets, including within education. So understanding that when we see so much of the decline within my lifetime, also understanding that was also when we had emergency management in control of our public school educational system, and understanding that that really played an impact on us. And I think literacy is a problem everywhere. I think that's a facade that we live with, but just because it's so bad here, we just try to highlight it here with our students. But also, if the enslaver is going to tell you that you're dumb, or you're going to depend on the enslaver to tell you how smart or proficient you is, I think you're always going to be in a predicament to where we're in the crab barrel type thing, to where y'all just putting each other down.
Hey, that's why I said I'm gonna get Mr. Hall on here, and I already know what he was on. So look, so first, you just brought up something very important, because I want people to understand. Like you said, you're the lead plaintiff in this situation. So talk about what got you to the point where you felt like this needs to be something that you need to file with the court.
I think it was really the world. I think being from Detroit, especially growing up, we often heard as a student that your school was in. It could possibly be closed because of low test scores and low attendance and these different things, but understanding that a lot of our schools were open just because it was the only school within that radius, in that mile radius. So basically your school is only open because it has to be a school in its proximity. Was the only thing that was keeping us open. And then once the list of the 50 lowest performing schools in the nation came out, I think Trump actually put that list out, and I believe all of except 3 of Detroit high schools were on that list. And that kind of really brought national attention. And at that point, and still currently, we were 50th in the country in literacy proficiency. So understanding that we were at the bottom, where once we were just at the top in a proficient school district, in a model school district. So just understanding, like, how could we get to a point to where we have so many prominent people coming out of this profound city, and we've had so many profound things come out of here, and now we have the lowest literacy or proficiency within the educational system in America. So I think that kind of brought national attention. But as a student, really just kind of seeing my peers and seeing the community that we was living in. If you see a good school, you don't see a bad neighborhood. So like if it's a good school, you don't see that good school in a bad neighborhood. So understanding that, like, our schools were products of our neighborhoods, and it kind of seemed like that was for a reason. So just really bring an insight. I think James Baldwin said it best. He said, once you become educated, you begin to look at the paradigms and the paradigms that you're being educated in. So just understanding that, like, I started to really just see that things were happening for a reason and not by mistake.
Yeah, I love it, man. I appreciate you being here, man. And I'm going to ask you this question. So I think I would love to hear from you, being as the lead plaintiff on this situation. What are your thoughts around sort of this initiative from DPSCD?
Truthfully, I know they, I ain't going to be modest. I'm not going to be humble. This only happened because of me, for real. And if y'all go read my article that I put out with Talkbeat, I actually spoke specifically about this. But also, Dr. Vitti is very familiar with this model. This is something that does happen in suburban communities. It actually happens very often. It doesn't normally happen by the school district. Maybe it may be a outside program or outside partnership, but this is normally a student to teacher pipeline type program, because we all know that we have a shortage of teachers. So this is something new, and we know that peers can only relate with peers on a level that only they can really truly understand. So they only can relate with each other way better than we can. Understand that Vitti came from Broward County, which he used a model in a program called YPP, which is called Young People's Project, where actually it was a model with math tutoring, where students are math tutors to younger students, and they actually get paid a little bit more than $2,000. But it was something that actually helped him bring up the grade levels within Broward, and it's something that he advocated on very, very strongly. So I actually had a conversation with him because I come in contact with the program actually around the same time of the lawsuit, because math actually is my favorite subject. So just understanding that if you can teach people math and you can get people to understand math and want to learn math, then this is something that can be very, very useful and very, very powerful, especially if young people are doing this and able to teach each other in different abstract ways. But also, like you said, reimagining education. We have tried a lot of different things. I think a lot of us are trying to go back to something, and we sound no different than the others of talking about we're trying to make America great again. So I understand that Detroit was at the mountaintop one time, but that was not just the mountaintop. We were supposed to keep excelling and keep evolutionizing. So I think a lot of us are kind of in a facade of where we were at one time, which we understand where we are right now. It's terrible. Like, this is, like you said, unacceptable. When we are in a city where students actually filed a lawsuit based on the basis of their education, where students actually had to file a lawsuit saying that we're being miseducated. And it's not our teachers' fault. It's not our parents' fault. We do know it starts at home. But if we're going to look at the data, we can see that students are coming in kindergarten. They are ready. They are prepared, because the parents' job is really to get them to be able to comprehend, to be able to listen, to be able to be indulged and open-minded. So when the teacher gets to them, I'm not trying to do babysitting work. I'm not parenting a child. So that's why we're becoming teachers. So just understanding that a lot of people are telling us. So we look at DPS's statistics, the data is actually dropping once students become in school. When they first test, they have high test scores. By the time they get to third grade, they now have lower test scores. So we're understanding that now school is now in a documentation system to where now it's not only making the child illiterate, but it's also giving them platforms and proficiency tests of things that they have not even been taught. So if you're going to test me on something I never learned, I'm always going to think I'm dumb.
Look. Man, look. First of all, man, look. First of all, shout out to you, right? Because you get people on here and you know what you're talking about, right? And you come up with the facts, right? And so these are sort of the holes and the questions that I have, because I'm gonna be honest with you. When I first heard, I'm like, man, why are we doing that? Like, is this happening in suburban schools? Why we gotta do this with Black kids? Why we gotta do this, right? Or like, what can we do instructionally in our classrooms, right? So if we got people who can improve literacy rates after school, why we don't have them in school? Right. So wait, don't, you ain't gonna learn nothing right now, but come after school and we're gonna teach you how to read. So those are the questions as an educator that was coming up for me, right? So as I'm thinking about and listening to you, I'm understanding one, there's two things that I got from what you said. One, this has been done around math, which is important to me as well. Like I've been a math teacher. I'm at Michigan State. One of the things I do is teach teachers how to teach math, right? So that's a big thing for me. Secondly, what you're also telling me is that, for the most part, because I there are some students who may not be coming as ready as they need to be, but for the most part, our kids, and that's been studies that's been done before now that talk about, as kids, when they start in kindergarten, first grade, they do this sort of aptitude test, and they're like ready to like go wherever. And as they continue to go through schooling, that shifts It's sort of, it goes backwards. So there's something about the schooling experience that's sort of impacting kids' engagement and willingness or an aptitude to learn. So that's what we got to address, which goes back to the larger question is, like, what we're doing in our schools and antiquated, and we got to figure out different ways, which goes back to my larger question is, why are we doing this after school? Why, like, where are these people at during the school year? I mean, during the school day, right? That's the large, and the thing, I'm all about, I'd rather money go into the hands of students than where it's going in some places and sometimes. Like, I'm with that. But I also have to bring up that question around, so where is this, like, where is this instructional strategy during the school day? Right. So we selling black kids, we selling kids. I'm sorry, my bad. Go ahead, because so I'm gonna say this last bit, then I'm gonna let you talk. So we telling people, these kids, you can't do nothing else, you can't work. Because I was a kid, I had 3 jobs after school when I worked, and when I grew, I had 3 jobs. I had 3 jobs. Don't ask me how that worked, but I had 3 jobs, right? So don't judge me. Shout out to my mama. I had 3 jobs, right? And so, like, you mean tell me they can't do anything? And then when you start dividing 2,000 up, are we giving 2,000 for the whole year? Is that how many times? It's 4 days a week. So if you start dividing it up by the hours, kids ain't smart. They ain't dumb. They know. They start adding it up. 2,000 is like 2,000 over 9 months. I'm coming for an hour or 2 hour. I think they said an hour a week times 4 hours. That's 4 hours a week times 4 hours, 4 weeks times 4. It's 16 hours. Let's do the math. There's 16 hours. So that per hour rate is going real low. And so then we're looking at, I might as well still forget reading. I might as well still go get this other job. Okay, go ahead. I'm gonna be quiet. Those are the questions I have. Go ahead, brother. Mr. Hall, go ahead.
I think you really touched on a lot of points. I think the other point also, like you talked about, is where is the village included within this also? Understanding that youth could be the facilitators, but we also know education is not just within a school.
That's
but
right.
I think the biggest thing within our lawsuit is we actually had a student that was in the 6th grade that actually got permission from the principal to actually teach her math class. So that was something else. Like, we're at such a pivotal moment. We've exhausted so many different facets of ways to where now we're even searching for someone to be there for our babies in the classroom consistently. So as you're talking about with the shortage of teachers and just getting black male teachers in there, at this point, we're just trying to get teachers, proficient teachers.
Facts.
But then proficient also is, what is proficient? What may be proficient to someone may not be proficient to someone else.
That's right.
So we come from where unorthodox education is something that we're very, very centered in, culturally relevant education. So we know that our grandmother and our grandfather may have had a 3rd or 4th grade proficiency level in math and reading, but we're still going to go to them for the wisdom of anything that we have going on. And they may not answer the question precisely, but they're going to give you wisdom. The wisdom has has no grade or no proficiency or nothing like that. Knowledge is something that's everywhere. So within the young people and the young babies, like you said, that money conversation is going to be something that's next. But that's something that we need to have as Detroiters when we see where we've been at in a predicament. But the biggest thing is what is the curriculum? And where do the others fit in? So paying people sounds great. And the idea and taking the idea is great. But what is the rollout going to look like?
Facts. Can I lift up something, Brother Hall? Man, I just want to commend you for this, man. But the fact that what I heard was, hey, we got students involved in this lawsuit and their voices were being heard. Right. Oftentimes, adults, we come to the table. We're the ones that are showcasing the curriculum, the problems, highlighting some of the issues. And that student voice, that student agency isn't always there. So what I'm hearing that this happened, man. I think that's a huge piece in all of this. And I just wanted to really highlight that piece, that student advocacy, student agency, student voice. What was shrouded in this, and I appreciate that love, man. So I'm just sitting here in all the work that you've done to make this happen, and I'm excited to see where this thing is going. But there's a lot to it, right? There's a lot to it. There's questions that still need to be answered. But the fact that we're here having this conversation is one of interest, one of innovation, and I'm looking forward to seeing where this thing goes.
And it's divine. I think we have a time right now to where evolution is prominent. and it's going to happen with or without. And youth are always a part. It's just about, are they being centered and highlighted within it? And I think we have an old saying within Africa, one of our African tribals, where we say, how are the children?
Yes.
And that's how we introduce ourselves. We're asking, how are the children? I think that's something that we need to get back to, because the children and the babies are not just the future, they're the present. And they're here right now. I think that's something that we did realize. But also, this was a class action lawsuit. So that means that was the past, present, and future. So we understood that my parents were miseducated. That's the biggest thing that I understood, that my mom was miseducated. I have the same textbooks as my mom. So I'm going through almost the same educational experience as my mother was in 1998, 1999. So understanding that this is for all of us, not just as the city of Detroit, but us as a country, understanding that we need to do better in this educational field, and we need to do better within just education as a whole. And I think this would be something, this is something that moves us towards that if we do it correctly. If not, it could be something that could be very, very hinderful to us in the future, because we know how we do things. Once we try something, it doesn't work, now we kind of just mark it off the list. So if this doesn't work, we're going to say we tried, we did it, we gave them $2,000. Once we know that wasn't a lot of money, we gave them a program that we probably didn't roll out properly or ethically, or didn't think too much into how this was actually going to look, but we just wanted to say we did something. So now for the next group of students that actually want to come and they actually trying to do this, it doesn't happen.
Yeah. No, that's great, man. And I'll say this too, man. I want to be very, very clear about this. I applaud the effort, not only from you, but also the district in trying to figure out something, right? You know, we can all sit back and what they say, Monday morning quarterback, right? We can all sit back and be like, oh, we all got ideas and questions. And I've been watching on social media, a lot of people got a lot of thoughts about this who are not in education. I'm saying because they're not in education, they shouldn't have a say-so or thought in it, because it is a community thing. However, like, I wanted to applaud you first and foremost, and also applaud the district and all those who's coming up with this innovation. This conversation is no means to, like, no way am I trying to sort of be hypercritical of the approach. However, what I'm obligated to do as a parent in this community is ask questions, right? And so I'm asking questions around, how does this work? What does this look like? What does it don't work? What's happening during main or tier 1 instruction? And I get all that stuff, right? We talk about attendance and all that stuff. And because I already understand, in going around the country, not only in the city of Detroit or the surrounding suburban area, or metro Detroit area, understanding the state of our educational system, right, it's been like this for a while. I'm also very, very unapologetic around what we're doing and how we can get creative around a few things: curriculum, how we engage in teachers, like how we engage in our teachers, how we educate our teachers, right? Like, we have a teacher shortage. This is nothing new, right? So to your point, to my biggest piece is too, is like, who are we getting in here to do this work? We also got a lot of folks who come in and throw curriculum at our schools, right? That's more about profiting than actually literacy instruction that is also grounded in research, that is grounded in what's the best way of teaching people how to read. The fact that for years ago, we got away from phonics is a whole, like, the fact we was having a debate around whole language and phonics is beyond me. Right, like that, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I was a teacher at that time when a debate got hot. And so for my thing is, we owe it to ourselves and as a person who pays taxes, as a person who is a parent, as a person that is an educator, as a person that is an advocate for quality education, it would be irresponsible of me not to ask the appropriate questions around what's important, because as I said before I put y'all on, education and doing this right by our children is the number one and most important thing that we can get right in our communities, because that is the foundation to how communities are built. And to your point, Ms. Hall, when you mentioned around our children, if you want to destroy a community, create an uneducated population of students, of children. That is the quickest way to create a community that is dysfunctional. And we have to do better. And I'm going to call it out. So anybody feelings get hurt, I can care less about that because I care more about the impact that our decisions have on children. And there's two things. We got to have that fixed. We got to fix the issue, right? Quick. But also, what's the long-term impact?
Thanks.
Okay, go ahead. We're going to wrap this part up, but go ahead. Anything last minute, y'all, either one of y'all want to say?
Now, man, last thing I would just say, man, you definitely have to have that microscope and that fine-tooth comb and that surgical scalpel when we have initiatives and things like this. So you're not wrong at all, Doc, for, taking a microscope to it, because we have to. We have to, especially things that's going to impact our babies, us as Black people. When something's given to us or handed to us, or, it's like, okay, is it a Trojan horse? What's going on? So we really have to analyze it. That's why I say it's complex. It's always going to be complex for us because we have all these different perspectives we had to come from to really look at it and see if this is going to work and how it's going to work moving forward. So, no. I think you're right for that. So, absolutely.
Mr. Hall, go ahead. Jump in, brother. Go ahead.
You fooled me once in 1994. You feel me? You fooled me twice, a couple times within between in the 20-year span. Now it's 2023. What they say, you fooled me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 3 times. So I'm talking to us as Detroiters, as people, as citizens. We can't get fooled 3 times. Now, the first 2 times was okay. I can understand, but I challenge you. So as a parent and as a community member, bring a scope to it. And don't only bring a scope to it, diabolic it, dissect it, put it back together. And if it don't make sense, and if you can't put it back together, then it may not make sense. So keep doing it until you can. And that's what you're supposed to do. And that's what we are supposed to do in all facets, not just in education, in every field, every sector. So we need to do that more. And we will not be in this predicament to where the babies had to actually bring up this advocacy and actually had to advocate on this behalf when so many of us were already knowing it, but didn't know how to go about it. So outside of that, I will say also, as having an org, as being a profound doctor, as both of you are, I would challenge us to create our own research. I would challenge us to find opportunities within this to create and take opportunities to gather research with the help of community. Secondly, I will say, make sure you all can come in and make sure that these babies that are doing this get some pre-teacher credits. We just talked about the lack of teachers. We just talked about the lack of this. So at least as BMEA, make sure some of these Black babies, we get some Black boys in this program, we get them some pre-teacher credits. Now, what we just said, we're talking about the long term.
That's right.
So a lot of us want some quick microwave things where, if I'm going to be honest to everybody, if we want our babies to read and be proficient, we got to install confidence in them. We can go do all the tests and all the other things. We can go do any proficiency test and do anything. We're going to look and see that confidence is the best tool to get babies to do anything. If they have confidence and they believe in themselves and they believe in you, the person that's helping them out, that could be an adult, another peer, a younger peer, or whatever. But if they have confidence and belief, we can do anything. So that's the main 2 things that we're striving for right now. It's confidence and belief, not only in the babies, but also from us. We got to have hope in them. We got to have an trust in them. We got to love them like they're ours.
Man,
I appreciate y'all so much.
Man. Hey, Mr. Harlan, you the man. Hey, brother, you the man. I appreciate you. Your passion is clear. It's been clear for a while. I know you've been about this life. So thank you for your willingness to join today. Are you in the city still? I feel like you be all over. Okay. So let's stay in.
I'm trying to get to Norway. Like you, I'm trying to get on that Norway.
Hey, so let's keep talking. Let's keep talking. I got you. We just got to talk. I got you. So you know how to find me, man. Let's connect. But also November 9th, we're having this workshop where we're going to start promoting very soon. It's free. We got heavy, and when I say heavy hitters, we got people who have the strategies and support to do this work that is going to support not only our students, but our families, our teachers, our leaders around this work. So, Mr. Hall, I want you there. So let me know, make sure you sign up, you be there. Send me an email too, man, because I would love to figure out a way to include you a little bit more aggressively in our agenda, because I like I like to hear from the community. I got a PhD. I can care less about that, man. I care about the work that we're doing with people. For real. I go to this restaurant all the time. I ain't gonna tell you which one. I go all the time and get a glass of water. And they just found out last week. I got my PhD in 2011. She's just like, I didn't know you, because I don't care about that. I didn't get my PhD to walk around calling me doctor anything. I got my PhD so that I can do the work necessary, that no one can stop me from engaging in ways in which we need to engage. So you're not going to tell me I'm not qualified, right? But some of us get it for other reasons, a whole other conversation. So like, brother, for you, like, I appreciate you, because to me, you have a PhD as well, which you still can go get yours. So like,
Thanks.
I appreciate the work you're doing, and let's keep talking, and we would love to have you even coming back on the show, brother, because you got a lot to share.
Definitely, and I appreciate you all, and I truly appreciate you both, Dr. Lewis and Dr. McGhee, and just the BMEA family, man. And truly, always, like you said, an admirer, and just continue to be great and setting the platform, setting the foundation for us as young men, man. So again, thank you so much, and we definitely gonna connect. For sure. Appreciate you, brother. All right. Man, that was good. I feel like we didn't talk the whole time, man. I think we got to end the show soon, because we've been talking for like 50-some minutes. I think we went 51 minutes in. And we had a whole slew of stuff we were supposed to talk about. Look, bro, I do want to, before we get off, and we'll be real quick about this. So, Kamala Harris, the VP, Madam VP, Harris, came into the city yesterday. She did her thing, and she sort of laid out this agenda for Black men. And I'm gonna have Chris pop that up there real quick, because I think that's important for us to just, for those who don't know, this is what she's been. It's a clip. Oh, my bad. We're gonna show the clip real quick.
Let's stick with politics here. Bloomberg senior editor Mike Shepard joins us now from Washington with the latest on the race to the White House. And the big question is still the economy, is it not? You look at where we stand right now, and how are both candidates looking to make an edge?
Well, it's interesting that you brought us into this segment talking about housing, because each candidate has tried to make housing a part of their larger economic agenda. For Trump, he has talked about reducing regulations, using federal land to make more homes available for construction, and even, and this is a classic example from the Trump playbook, turning it into a question about immigration. He has called for barring undocumented migrants from obtaining mortgages. On the Harris side, she is talking about $25,000 grants for first-time home buyers, and then billions of dollars in subsidies for states and local governments to try to speed some of that. And what this is, what we're seeing here is that each candidate is trying to aim at a part of the voting population that feels left out of the economy right now. And housing is one area in particular for young home buyers.
Chris, that's the wrong video. You talking about the rate? That ain't what we talking about. You got time for all that. I mean, we can talk. I'm all about examining the economic policies of both candidates. But there is a particular and I know you have that, so we're gonna put that up in a minute. Let me know when you're ready. But she has something that's focused on Black men, and so I want to show that part. So. And one of the things I do as we wait for him to put that up, because I mean he was about to go hard to a whole CNN session, and that wasn't even CNN. What was that? I don't know. Bloomberg.
Well, I think with that particular clip, he talks about it at the end.
At the end.
Briefly talks about it at the end.
We ain't got time.
With her, what she's trying to do.
Yeah, we ain't got time. We already been talking 51 minutes. We need to get right to it. we gonna be sitting here watching the whole 45-minute segment. but so as we're doing that, so she was in Detroit. She said, they're talking about sort of 78% of Black men, I believe, are supporting her, which I'm like, 78%, that's still pretty high, right? And I think we got to stop assuming Black men and Black people in general are monolithic. Like, we all have our viewpoints, we all have our ways of thinking. And so I think we have to be very, again, unapologetic about being very clear that people got to earn our votes. People got to earn our votes no matter what. And so, you know, and I know there are some other things that's a factor in that, because my only thing is, I always say this all the time: if you asking her, you better ask him, right? If you're asking her for this, you better ask him, and don't get to talking about what he did in 2016, 2020, because I ain't getting no check from Trump, so I don't know what check y'all talking about. Did you get a check?
I did not.
Okay, so I don't know what check did he discriminate against the people who got PhDs. Because we still broke. So I ain't getting no check. And everybody I know, most people I know ain't get a check. So like we have to own, and what I want to talk about at another show is, I want to be very careful that misogyny and all that other patriarchy is not seeping into our thinking around how we make decisions. Okay, man. That's all I'm gonna say. Okay, I'm gonna leave that right
I hear
there,
you, bro. And I think that I can't say that's not happening. It feels like it. It feels like it, because at the end of the day, man, there's a greater agenda involved right now, and we want to start nitpicking and looking, man, especially to that end.
Hey, and let me say this too. You know, people, you know, this whole Barack, we got to show this thing in a minute. I know we got to get off, but the whole Barack, you know, they say he was scolding black men, and I'm with that. Like, yeah. I hear that. I hear how people can take a different take to that. But like, my thing to that is, let's go all the other folks that may also not be supporting what is in their best interests. Right. So I think that's a scolding. We can go around if you want to start scolding people, but also understand there's a different perspective. So I'm not all upset and on 10 with Obama. And I think the media, we got to be very careful, because the media would create a narrative that you think that like there's 30% of black men supporting whatever.
Right.
Again, our votes have to be earned. That's all I have to say. And we need to ask everybody the same questions. That's all I care about. With that, Chris, go ahead and pump that up real quick. I know we got to go. We've been talking for too long. So right here, you see the Harris-Walz policy, creating an opportunity agenda for black men. The thing that stood out to us as an organization that's sort of part of the work, not all of the work, but part of our work is sort of increase the number of black men in teaching, is this for what, you know, the loan forgiveness. Shout out, because my loans got forgiven. I ain't talked about that on the show. We can talk about that another day. But I think it is number two. Number two, support education training and mentorship programs that lead to good paying jobs for black men, including pathways to becoming teachers. If they don't sound like Black Male Educators Alliance, I don't know what does.
Man, direct alignment.
Done, right? So, but I'm going to ask the question. Now, I only asking the question because she put it out there, because I ain't heard enough from nobody else, is how we going to pay for this, how this is going to happen, right? That's the only question that I have. So I want us to continue. We have every right to ask questions. The only issue, brother, is when we ask everybody who's asking for our vote the same questions. Because if we don't, I'm looking at you sideways. And if you sit here talking about what somebody did over the other, I'm looking at you sideways too. Go ahead, Dr.
Now give them the sideways look, man, because that's where we are right now. I think that you are absolutely correct when you say they still have to earn our vote, right? Because at the end of the day, as a people, we've been talking about what is our agenda? What is our agenda? What is our 10-point agenda that we want to give to these politicians? You know, and as soon as somebody of color is in the race and is in heavy contention, that our narrative changes. And it's like, oh, okay. No. Let's put that same pressure on everybody. So I'm with you, boss. Absolutely.
Hey, let's do that. So we got what, 21 days or whatever into the election. Ask everybody the same. All I ask is ask everybody the same question. I'm looking to this camera. Ask everybody the same question. What's your agenda? What you doing for me? What you doing for black children, black men, black women, whatever you want to ask the black agenda, ask everybody for that. Just want to make sure we're clear about that. Ask everybody for it, because we also understand the president is the president of the United States of America. Right. So we understand that piece too. We got to be real with that. But also ask the question of every politician, from the school board folks all the way up to the presidency, the senators, the House, the state Senate, the U.S. Senate, the U.S. Rep. Ask all those folks the same questions across the board. Okay, I know we got to go, man. We can talk about this forever. Hey, man. So look, I'm heading to Norway tomorrow, man. I'm super hyped. I'm gonna have you back on in our next show. We're gonna try this sort of off week thing because we're moving a lot, traveling a lot. We're gonna see what that looks like. So I think our next show, because I'm out of town again that next weekend, probably gonna be on a Wednesday again. So we'll see how that goes. And we'll probably have you on around the same time.
All right.
On that Wednesday. You feel good about that?
Yeah, man. Listen, it's the way forward.
It is the way, but we have to move forward. So I'll be sharing some thoughts and some info from my trip into Norway. And we'll be back in a couple of weeks. In the meantime, enjoy this wonderful hoodie, cool weather. I am hyped. I ain't talking about the weather today, but it is fantastic. It's about time. But looking forward to seeing you all in a couple of weeks. In the meantime, ask the questions of everybody. All right. Peace. And we'll see you guys in a couple of weeks.
Safe travels, Doc.
Appreciate you.